everyone. My name is Ariel Domali,
And I'm Myra De La Torre.
And I am Mariel Angeli D. Tobias, and
and
we
we're
are
going
going
to
to
report
report the
environmental crisis and sustainable development. We have reached the last lesson for this course. In this lesson, we will focus on the environmental crisis and sustainable development, which seem to be two different topics, but reality they are interconnected. On the first part of our discussion, we will tackle about the numerous environmental problems that our world is facing now, both natural and man-made catastrophe. Moreover, we will learn the different strategies of different countries in solving these problems. Lastly, we will try to understand the major effect of this problem, such as global warming, climate change, and how such problems lead us creating sustainable development program that both benefit man and the environment.
Learning outcomes. Discuss the origins and manifestations of global environmental crises. Examine the policies and the programs of environment around the world and address the crisis. Relate everyday encounters with population global warming, desertification, ozone depletion, and many others with a larger picture of environmental degradation.
Introduction. If you live in metropolitan Manila and travel to school or to work every day, the moment you step out of your home, you are already exposed to the serious problem humanity faces today, the deteriorating state of the environment. As you walk out of the gate, the fetid smell of the uncollected garbage hits you and you go near to the trash bin curious about what is causing the smell. You see rotting vegetables and a dead rat and a bunch of whatnot packed in a plastic. The three wastes are already indicated in some of environmental problems. The vegetable oil to be added in the compost pile. The rat either buried or bird to also get rid to the lice that might jump into the hair of the children playing nearby, and the plastic washed and recycled because unlike the others two ways it cannot dispose.
Combining global warming. More countries are now recognizing the perils of global warming. In 1977, countries signed the Kyoto Protocol to reduce greenhouse gases. Following the 1992 United Nations Earth Summit, where a framework convention for climate change was finalized, the protocol set targets for the left it to individual countries to determine how best they could achieve the goals. While some countries are made the necessary move to reduce their contribution, the global warming, the United States of biggest populator in the world is not joining the effort. Developing countries lack funds to implement the protocol's guidelines, as many of them need international aid to get things moving. A 2010 World Bank report thus conclude that protocol only has slight impact on reducing global emissions, in part because of the non-binding nature of the agreement.
Social movements, however, have had better success working together with the some pressure of their governments and regulate global warming. In South Africa, communities engage in environmental activism to pressure industries to reduce emissions to the lobby parliament for the passage of pro-environment laws. Across the Atlantic, in El Salvador, local officials of grassroots organizations from 1,000 communities push from crop diversification, a reduction in industrial sugar cane production, the protection of endangered and sea species from the devastating effect of the commercial fishing. The preservation of lowlands being included by deforestation up in the rivers of inconsistent release of water from the nearby dam. Universities also partner with the government in producing attainable programs of controlling population. The University of Chicago's Energy Policies Institute sent them to India to work with government office, businesses, and communities in coming up with viable ground level projects that strike a balance between urgently needed economic growth and improved air quality.
Perhaps no forces people to think about their role as citizens of the world than environmental degradation. Every person, regardless of his or her race, nation, or creed, belongs to the same world. When one looks at an image of the earth, he or she will realize that he or she belongs to the one world, a world that is increasingly vulnerable. In the, in the fight against climate change, one cannot afford to simply care about his or her own backyard. The CO2 emitted in one country may have severe effects on the climate change of another. There is one choice, there is no choice but no find global solution of this global problem.
And that would be all. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Man-made pollution. What is man-made pollution? Man-made pollution when there are some physical, chemical, or biological changes occur due to man-made activities in our environment known as man-made pollution. The example of pollution. Human exacerbate other natural environmental problems in Saudi Arabia. Sunstorms combined with combustion exhaust from traffic and industrial waste has led the World Health Organization (WHO) to declare Riyadh as the one of the most polluted cities in the world. So ang Riyadh daw ang pinakahugaw na lungsod sa kalibutan kay grabe kadaghan og basura na nagatapok which is like sa ilahang dalan. Then Greenpeace India reported that in 2015, air pollution in the country was at its worst. Indian government monitoring system. There are only 17 national air quality network covering 89 cities across a continent. Furthermore, 94% in energy pollution exposed the air pollution. WHO warned as reaching dangerous level while Gaborone, the capital Botswana, is the 17th most polluted city in the world. Ang polusyon daw sa hangin kay nagkagrabe. For example, ang pagbugas sa aerosol ug uban pang mga gas gikan sa mga sakyanan, pagsunog sa kahoy ug basura ug uban pa mao kini makadaot sa ato ang lungsod. Ug ang Gaborone ug ang Botswana ang ika-7 na labing hugaw na lungsod sa kalibutan. What is pollution? Air pollution is general means presence of any chemical, particulate, or biological matter in the air that alter natural composition of the air and make it harmful, threatening to the overall ecosystem and atmosphere. Waste coming out the coal, copper, and gold mines flowing into the rivers, oceans, destroying sea life and permitting bodies, those which survive, and the poison. Mercury on tuna prominently. The biggest copper mines sa Malangkand in India discharge high-level and toxic heavy metals into the water stream. For over a century, coal mines in the West Virginia have pumped chemical-laden wastewater directly into the ground. Ang mga basura daw gikan sa minahan, tumbaga ug mga bulawan niagi kini sa mga kanal, sapa ug sa kadagatan ug makaapekto kini sa pagkahilo sa mga tao. Tapos ang India daw ang taas na level na makahilo sa metal ngadto sa sapa sa tubig. Kay kining India man kay ang naay pinakabugat nga metal. Sa West Virginia daw kay mao kini ang grabe kahugaw ang tubig kay makahilo na tapos dili na ni siya pwede mainom kay tungod kung mainom ka ana mamatay ka kay mahilo man ka. What is water pollution? Water pollution happens when toxic substances enter water bodies such as lakes, rivers, oceans, and so on. Water pollutions can be caused by the plethora of different contaminants, including toxic waste, petroleum disease-causing microorganisms. Pollution in West Africa has affected the atmospheric circulation system and controls everything from wind and the temperature, rainfall, and the whole wishes of the region. This climate disruptions is similarly caused drought all over Asia, Africa, and accelerated the phase of the desertification in certain areas 20 years ago. Africa is the continent most affected by desertification and the one of most obvious natural borders on the landmass and the southern edge of Sahara deserts. So Africa is a dry land. Desertification is a process that destroys fertile land. This can be caused the drought, overpollution, overfarming, deforestation, and climate change. People health has been severely compromised and archived in the article journal Scientific American blamed the pollution. The International Agency for Research on Cancer blamed air pollution for 223,000 lung cancer deaths. Journal Scientific American blamed the pollution contributing to the more half million premature deaths each year and cost of hundreds of billions of dollars. Sa taga-tuig daw naa jud ay mamatay na half million. Ang kuan ani niya pollution siya sa hangin, naka-cause siya cancer. Then 223,000 baga ang mamatay sa cancer sa taong 2010. Sa West Virginia naasay mga nangasakit na mga tao, rare cancer little kids like sa mga bata na naisakit sa kidney stones, premature deaths nga mandali ra ka sila mamatay ba then ano po congenital disabilities kanang mga may kapansanan pud sila like kanang bagong panganak din na sila kapansanan ning ana. The other mode of transportation that the poor can afford the motorbike, also called the two- and three-wheeled vessels. According to the Century for Science and Environment in Delhi, India, two-wheelers form a staggering 75% to 805 of the traffic most of ASEAN cities. So, sa karon kay ang ginagamit nato kay motorsiklo. Ang motorsiklo kay nagasunog na siya langis ug gasolina tapos nagpagawas na siya og daghang kaayong abo ay aso then kanang aso then carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons din kana siya polluted gyapon na siya then maka-cause man gihapon na siya og sakit sa ato ang mga tao din kung tayo kita makalanguhap ta na nga aso din.
As catching up reporting, these ecological consequences, however, are far from the mind of countries like China, India, and Indonesia, which are now in the midst of a frenzied effort to achieve and sustain economic growth to catch up with the West. In the desire to develop and improve the standard of living of their citizens, these countries will opt for the goals of economic growth and cheap energy, which in turn would encourage energy overconsumption, waste, and efficiency, and also fuel environmental pollution. With their industrial sector still having a small share of national wealth, this country will be using first their natural resources like coal, oil, forest, and agricultural products and minerals to generate a national kitty that could be invested in industrialization. These extractive economies, however, are terminal economies. Their resources, which will be eventually depleted, are also source of pollution. In Nigeria, Niger Delta oil companies have caused substantial land, water, and air pollution. Nigeria caught in a bind if it wants to maintain its current economic growth path and sustain its drive for poverty reduction, or the very polluting oil exploration and production will continue to be dominant economic activity. If the United States lets its environment suffer to achieve modernity and improves the lives of its people, developing countries see no reason, therefore, why they could not sacrifice the environment in the name of progress. Our environment is what houses and helps our ecosystem grow and thrive. Without protecting and taking care of our environment, we're putting so many lives at danger, such as animals, plants, and crops, and even our own. All of the ecosystems that make up our environment are deeply connected, so we should improve our society in other way that our lives won't put in danger. The environment is an important issue even when society is faced with economic crisis, wars, and unending social problems. It matters because our Earth is the only home that humans have and it provides air, food, and other needs.
Welcome to Lesson 11, Environmental Crisis and Sustainable Development. Example of catching up. Catching up. The massive environmental problems are difficult to resolve because governments believe that for their countries to become fully developed, they must be industrialized, urbanized, and inhabited by a robust middle class with access to the best modern amenities. A developed society accordingly must also have a provision for the poor job in the industrial sector, public transport system, and cheap food. Food depends on a country's free trade with other producers. It also relies on a modernized agricultural sector in which toxic technologies such as fertilizer or pesticides and modified crops. Example is highly yielding varieties of rice ensure maximized productivity. The model of the ideal modern society in the United States, which until the 1970s was the global economic power, with a middle class that was very envy of the world. The United States, however, did not reach the high point without serious environmental consequences. To this very day, it is the worst polluter in the history of the world, responsible for 27% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions. 60% of the carbon emission comes from car and other vehicles plying highway and roads. The rest from smoke and soot from coal factories, forest fire, as well as the methane released by farm and breakdown of organic matter, paint, aerosol, and dust. Catching up is under Lesson 7, which is Environmental Crisis and Sustainable Development. Ang catching up ay isa rin itong bahagi ng environmental crisis. Pero ang sanhi ng problemang ito ay pwedeng natural na pangyayari at maaari din itong gawa ng tao. For example is pabrika na naglalabas ng usok, waste disposal at deforestation at marami pang iba. Ang problemang ito ay mahirap lutasin dahil ang gobyerno ay hindi open-minded kasi hindi sila naniniwala na uunlad ang kanilang bansa kung ito ay dahil naniniwala sila na uunlad lang ang kanilang bansa kung ito ay industrialisado, urbanisado at kung ito ay pinaninirahan ng matatag na middle class at kung nagtataglay ito ng modernong kagamitan. Only the United States have owned modern technology kaya hindi sila umaabot sa pinakamasamang polusyon ng daigdig. The worst polluter in the world is vehicle, salt from coal factories, forest fire, as well as the methane na galing sa sasakyan. Thank you.
Good day everyone, especially to our instructor in GID 6, Sir Loreto Atamosa. I'm Roslita Bongado Cayuna from Group 4. And my topic for today is all about the climate change. Ang climate change ay may tatlong dahilan kung bakit may pagpapalit sa ating klima. Una na dito ang global warming, pangalawa ang greenhouse effects, at pangatlo ang glacier. Ano nga ba ang global warming? Lahat ng bansa at gobyerno ay may sari-sariling problema kung paano ito haharapin. Pero isa na dito ang state's ecological systems includes physical, chemical, and biological characteristics ay lumalala at buong mundo na ang naka-aapekto. Which transcends national boundaries is the result of billions of tons of carbon dioxide national coming from coal burning power plants and transportation, various air pollutants and other gases accumulating it at atmosphere. So, ang mga dahilan kung bakit ang ating mundo ay unti-unting nasisira araw-araw dahil sa mga nalalanghap na usok mula sa mga factory at sa mga araw-araw na sasakyan na halos billion tons of carbon dioxide ang nakakaapekto nito sa ating atmosphere. The pollutants trap the sun's radiation causing the warming of the Earth's surface with the current amount of the carbon dioxide and the other gases. These greenhouse effects has speed up the rise in the world temperature. There is now a consensus that the global temperature has risen at a faster rate in the last 50 years, and it continues to go up despite efforts where the climate change in years that the world had cooled off in and around 1998. And the second topic, greenhouse effects. The greenhouse effects is responsible for recurring heat waves and long droughts in certain places, as well as for the heavier rainfall and devastating hurricanes and typhoons in the other places, while the other places are sunny. Sa bansa ng California ay nakaranas sila ng tagtuyot o El Nino ang tawag dito sa ating bansa, pati sa kanilang tubig ay nagkakaubusan na. Here the same image of California was worst water shortage in 1,200 years due to the global warming. Pero sa ilang araw na tagtuyot o El Nino ay hindi nila inaasahan na babalikan sila ng La Nina o sobrang tag-ulan na dahilan sa malakihang pagbaha at maraming nasalanta noong 21st century. At dahil sa global warming altered the summer of monsoon patterns ay nagreresulta ito o bumubuo ng malalakihang bagyo at isa na dito ang bagyong Haiyan na tumama sa ating bansa noong 2013. At isa na din dito ang bansang Eastern United States ay nakaranas din ng Hurricane Katrina noong 2005 na nasundan ng Hurricane Sandy 2012. Ang dalawang hurricane ay malawakang napinsala at nagresulta ng states of calamity. And the last topic, glaciers. Glaciers are melting every year since 2002. With Antarctica losing 134 billion metric of ice. There is coastal flooding not only in the Australian Great Barrier Reef are dying and the production capacities of farms and fisheries have been affected. Flooding has allowed more breeding grounds for disease carriers. So, ang glaciers pala, ito yung mga natutunaw na ice na halos 134 billion metric na nagsasanhi ng malawakang pagbaha. So habang may baha at naghihirapan ang mga tao, dumarami rin ang mga breedings sa tubig baha na dahilan ng pagdami ng Aedes aegypti mosquitoes at cholera bacteria na nagsasanhi ng sakit ng mga tao. At dito po nagtatapos ang aking report. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig at good luck sa ating lahat.